lozenge.
I do have some lozenges.
No thanks. Hola, amigos and amigas. We are here to talk about Spanish this morning.
Buenos dias, mis amigos.
Good morning, post-Halloweeners. Who had some Halloween fun? If you're watching this replay, let us know in the comments.
Ooh,
Oh my, don't get Dorothy dancing.
ooh, Halloween fun. Ooh.
Scary. Okay, I'll share and you talk.
We had some Halloween fun.
Why don't you, would you like to tell them what we are going to talk about today?
Yeah. Today, we're going to talk about, we're going to share a little bit about our Halloween experience at the beach. Oh my gosh, best Halloween ever! But we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we are going to get into sugar hangovers. It's really neat. We just finished a sugar detox, a 10-day sugar detox. And I was just thinking this morning as we're putting this Facebook Live together, I was thinking that was the perfect timing for a sugar detox. I don't think we could have timed it any better because our last day of the sugar detox was Wednesday. So you're already creating those habits, or are the people that were in our detox already created those healthy habits before Halloween came. So I think that is so, so cool. But we did talk about sugar hangovers in our detox. So we are ready to talk about that with you this morning after Halloween. I'm sure a lot of you ate way too much candy last night. It's kind of funny how, like, the candy is not going anywhere, but for some reason when we get home with all the candy, we feel like we have to eat it all.
Like someone's going to steal it?
Yeah. So we're going to get into that, the withdrawals and sugar hangovers, and how to now detox now that it's the day after Halloween. But it's really important going into the holiday season. Here in the U.S., Thanksgiving's coming up. It already passed for our Canadian friends. But then right away after Thanksgiving or after Halloween here, it's going to be getting into Christmas. I know I've seen posts already this morning about, it's November 1st. Let's get on the Christmas train. Already 2 months before Christmas. And we know what starts happening is the treats, Christmas treats. Like, we just get over our Halloween treats, and then the Christmas treats start rolling in.
Yeah, it's never ending. So that's why we want to be here to share some tips and insights with you on how we can stay on track, because it is challenging with every new thing coming up.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so tempting. We were trick-or-treating with friends, but it's so tempting to have a giant bag and try and fill it up.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Yeah, there's so much. There's so many. Of course, there's lots of temptations. It's Halloween. There's candy everywhere. So why? It's really difficult to stay on track. Like, what else can you say? That's why we're here. That's why we're helping, hopefully, educate and share ideas on what you can do to live a healthy lifestyle, because the temptations are everywhere.
And they're not going anywhere. There's always going to be temptations. What makes the difference is yourself and your own decisions, right? We can't, to a certain level we can get rid of temptations, but they're always going to be out there. At a friend's house or at the store, you're going to see stuff. Or at work, you're going to have temptations like a box of donuts or, the certain things that are going to come up. So what makes the big difference is you learning the skills on how to overcome those temptations.
Yeah, or you could live in a bubble. Or never leave the house. Those are some options that you can do.
Mm-hmm. And I've got my kombucha here.
Dorothy is getting her kombucha
on.
Okay.
Where do you want to start, Drew?
Why don't you tell them about a few things that we've done to celebrate Halloween this year? Do you have food on your shirt?
I have food on my shirt. This year was one of our most favorite Halloweens. And I don't like to get into too much scary. I don't like the scary stuff about Halloween, the horror movies or the tricks or the blood and guts kind of stuff. But I like the pumpkin pumpkins and the happy things about Halloween and the costumes so we started off actually our holiday season or our Halloween season with a hayride. It was kind of cool. It was a haunted hayride. That was the beginning of the month. That was super, super cool. And then we carved pumpkins about a week ago, which was fun. Interesting. It's our first Halloween here in California. Interesting how things are a little bit different. This year we had to keep the pumpkins, the carved pumpkins, out of the sun so they didn't basically melt into mush, which they did. But back in Canada, we always had to keep them out of the cold so they didn't freeze. So it's funny how that circumstance kind of changed, but at the same time, it was kind of the same.
Yeah, it's similar. I think most everything is relevant to where you're at. So we were trying to hide the pumpkins and put the pumpkins in the shade or bring them inside from the sun and trying to preserve them because I thought we were a bit later when carving the pumpkins, but
no, we were early this year. We carved our pumpkins a week before Halloween. That's early.
At any rate, then the pumpkins were like slowly like shriveling up and got like
moosh,
moldy and yeah. So it was just kind of funny that we had to hide the pumpkins from the sun, and which really didn't make much of a difference. But then when we were in Alberta and it's cold, then you have to bring it in from freezing. Actually, I had some friends. It was Justin and Tegan, I think, and they carved pumpkins. Their pumpkins froze, turned to mush, and then they tried to find other pumpkins, and there are no pumpkins in Calgary, I guess.
Oh.
So they carved watermelons.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they actually turned out really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Last night we went trick-or-treating with friends. It was fun. So our friends have a little girl, and then they had a couple other little girls come over. And so Drew and I dressed up. Drew was the farmer. I was the strawberry. It's a big hit. Those costumes were a big hit.
They were. But you know what's funny is like we had this conversation is that here in LA, like you have some like farmers at farmers markets, but you're not like living with farmers. Right? The farmers aren't next door.
The farmers.
They're 3 hours away.
They're far away.
Or an hour away, whatever it is. But of course in Olds, farmers are everywhere.
Your neighbor's the farmer. Yeah?
Right. So in Olds, if you dress up like a farmer, people would be like, did you just get off work? And here it's like, oh my gosh, you're a farmer, or you're a farmer and a strawberry. It was like so original here, which we thought was pretty cool.
Let's go. But one of the things we loved about trick-or-treating here is that everybody was so happy. Is that the right way to say it?
Everybody was happy. Everyone's happier at the beach. They are. If you're not in freezing cold weather and stuck inside for 9 months out of the year, I think you're going to be happier. Sunshine, fresh air, activity. That's just how I feel.
We weren't cold. We were actually sweating.
Oh my gosh. We biked to our friend's house. And of course, in most cases in Alberta, you're freezing, so you're not biking anywhere. And then you have 10 layers on, so you may be sweating because you overlayered, which is rare. But here, we were in shorts and t-shirt. Dorothy had like a summer dress on. And we biked and we were sweating. We're like, oh man, we're going to be sweating when we get there.
And then everyone is just so happy to give out candy to anybody. The adults were like getting candy, the teenagers, the kids. It was cool.
That's what I really like about Halloween. Like, of course, our only comparison is like, well, Dorothy grew up on the East Coast. I grew up on the West Coast. For me, like Calgary Olds is what I remember, what I know. That's my experience. And we had this conversation, but when we were a bit older, I don't know, we were 16, 17, I don't remember how old we were. We were in high school, and we were like bored, didn't have anything to do. We're like, let's go get some candy. And I distinctly remember some people like commenting, oh, you guys look a little old. Oh, you should be buying your own candy. We had people that didn't even open the door. They like come to the door, or they look through the window. I remember this guy. I remember the house. I remember the guy. I don't know, it was like, I wouldn't say scarring or traumatic, that's a bit extreme, but it was like a memory that I don't forget. He was sitting there watching TV and he looked over at us And of course, his bowl of candy sitting there, and he had a few decorations, like an older man. He looked over at us, like looked at our costumes, and then looked back at the TV, and like pretend that we weren't even there.
Did you egg his house?
No, we didn't. Should have. But I just think it's just such a different dynamic, and like Dorothy was saying, here the adults are like tons of adults are dressed up. They are giving out candy. Some are collecting candy. And then when you go, we're walking with the kids. This little kids, like we're dressed up, just having fun. And you walk by, and then the adults giving away candy. They're more than happy to give you candy. They're like, hey guys, you guys want some candy? Or you guys need some candy too? Or what are we gonna do with all this candy? Have some. They're like throwing candy at us, and we're like, okay. So it was just so much fun, and it was just a really nice atmosphere. And I felt like sometimes I'm like confused with holidays like Halloween because I'm like Halloween because I'm like excited and I like feel like a kid and like want to play in the like festivities, but in like I feel like in Alberta or in other circumstances you're so like boxed into like you're too old to have fun or like this is for kids only. So it was just fun to like be an adult and still get treated like a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you say to me? You said something funny to me. You're like, it's so hard to act like an adult right now.
I didn't know what to do because we walked by some houses and like I have what's up, Jordan?
Hey, Jordan.
And
you walked by a couple houses.
I'm just reading the comments.
Oh, sorry.
Clarity and connection. I so agree. I would be so much happier on the beach as well. Yeah, no question. Everybody is. I'm telling you, everyone's happier. But I was like excited, and I'm like want to participate, and like I'm a kid
Inside.
I'm a kid inside. I'm just in an
I think
adult
we all
body.
are. Do you think we all are?
I think we all are. We just kind of like suppress it for whatever purposes or reasons.
I made a noise. Sorry.
But I'm like. I love Christmas. I love Halloween. I want to play with kids. Like it's just like fun for me to like run around. Like, I guess some adults are like, I'm too old for that. But so it's Halloween and everyone's dressed up and we're dressed up and I'm like, I want to play too. And so we walk by some places and they're like giving out candy and we're like just kind of cruising by and I'm like, the kid in me is like, I want some candy. Like I don't need to eat a bunch of candy, but it's like the action of like, oh, I got a little treat or like I got some like I'm participating in the fun. And then there's that I suppose that other mindset that's like that says to me like, well, you're too old or like you don't need that candy. And I just think it's unfortunate because like those memories or emotions or feelings kind of ruin it a bit. But I remember there's this huge giant house, like $10 million house. All these people are sitting outside. They have this huge big screen TV, and it's like got some Halloween cartoons on it. There a bunch of family members are sitting around the table and they're just hanging out. And there's two older gentlemen. And what's really cool is the older people, I would say the grandparents, they really like to give the candy out. Mm-hmm. So there's this huge house, like all these festivities are going on. There's kids running around dressed up, and these two older gentlemen are sitting in front of this big giant. It was like a witching brew, and it was kind of lit up.
You mean a cauldron?
Sure, that's what it's called. A big cauldron. It's like where you mix the witch's brew. Mm-hmm. That's way more fun than a cauldron. So
the brew is inside the cauldron.
Okay. Anyways, that's word is not in my vocabulary. So the big cauldron is sitting there, and they have candy in it, and they're like encouraging people. Oh, come on by! Well, come on by! And we're like kind of cruising by slowly, and we're going back home now, and we already left our kids, and I felt like it was much more acceptable to be walking around, hanging out with like everyone else when you have kids around because you're like, with the kids. Otherwise, it might be a bit creepy if you're grown adults and you're trick or treating. Maybe, I don't know. Around here, it seems like it's more accepted. So anyways, we're walking by, and the guy seemed like he wants to give candy. And like he's almost like welcoming us. Like, come on over, like, here's candy. And I like kind of like just slowly walk by. I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to go get candy from you.
I think you think about it too much, Drew.
I might think about it too much.
He's like processing and analyzing it in his head. Just go get the candy!
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, we didn't need the candy. We weren't like, didn't want the candy. But it makes you feel like part of it. Like, oh, I'm trick-or-treating, or like I'm participating. And I think like at least here, at least in this circumstance, it was like people they really wanted to give the candy.
Yeah.
Like in some cases, we're like, nah, thank you, we don't need candy. And they're like, because the kids are there, like, give the kids the candy. And they're like, no, you need candy too. We've got lots of candy. And they're like, trying to like, give us candy. And we're like, okay, we'll take the candy. Because you don't want to be like, no, and like, totally like shut them down. They're excited to give their candy. Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, like, we'll take the candy. Mm-hmm.
So now that it's the day after Halloween, and you may have indulged in some candies last night, may have a sugar hangover this morning, but you have all this candies. What do you do with it? That's the big question.
Boom, boom.
Boom, 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 boom. So, sugar hangover. We can talk about sugar hangover first?
Sure.
Okay. And then what to do with your candy?
Sure.
Sure. Go ahead.
What do you mean, go ahead?
It's interesting. We just, like I said at the beginning of the show here, we just finished a sugar detox, which was amazing. We finished that on Wednesday with a group of incredible people for 10 days. And it's interesting how your body will withdraw from sugar. Withdraw from sugar?
Yeah, we've had people that were going through mood, emotions, headaches, and it's all because of sugar.
Sleep stuff. But the thing is that we kind of joke around about sugar hangover, but it's a real thing. Like, your body has been basically, last night, when you overindulge in sugar, I shouldn't just say last night, but anytime that you do overindulge in sugar, basically, this doesn't sound very great, but basically you're drugging your body up, and then the sugar hangover is your body coming down off of that high, or having that withdrawal because you fed it sugar, and now that's what it wants is the sugar. So if this morning you're feeling a little sluggish, a little slow, if you have a little headache, like, those are all signs of a sugar hangover or withdrawals, because now that your body's had an overload of sugar, it wants more. It's like a connection in our brain.
Well, it's a
Chemical reaction.
This is very good.
Yes?
It's delicious. What do you want to tell them what's in it?
Peanut butter oatmeal?
Yeah.
It's our favorite.
This is awesome.
Super easy. So you just it's just oatmeal. So rolled oats, you cook on the stove. We do 1 cup raw and then 2 cups water. And you cook it with peanut butter and some honey and some vanilla. So you just put like a teaspoon of vanilla, a couple tablespoons of peanut butter, a little squirt of honey in there. And then you cook it up. I topped this one with almond milk and hemp seeds and bananas.
And you can sprinkle some CTP on there if you like to give it extra boost of nutrients.
Are you laughing at me?
I'm talking in your...
I'm like, this is so good.
Jordan over here on Instagram says, sounds like a fun night. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and running around during the festivities. You're welcome, Jordan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in.
It was a blast. We had so much fun. And it's funny, like I feel like you mature, but before, like, it might be like, oh, we had a great Halloween party and so-and-so got so drunk, he did this. Like, it's just like a different atmosphere. And I feel like some people, like, love the age, they like the age discussion, like, oh, you're getting older or you don't have much fun as you used to have. But I think you evolve and you like transition in life, and different things make you happy. And for us, it was like really cool to see our friends, little girl, like running around and having fun. And then for us, it was like we just get a chance to walk around and see the other costumes and the houses that were decorated. I really like the adults, to be honest with you. I just thought it was so cool that that's what I love about Christmas and Halloween here, is that adults feel like kids. And I feel like they feel, just because it's like a holiday or festivity, they feel more comfortable acting like a kid. And there's less judgment, there's less confidence issues, there's less like rules and regulations. Like, the adults were just like dressed up, like running around. They could be handing out candy. They had their houses decorated. It was just really cool to see everyone feeling like they can maybe be themselves, instead of being like, so, in most cases you walk by someone, Dorothy will say hi to someone and they'll like freak out and they're like, oh. But in this case, you like Happy Halloween, and people are like having conversations and like with strangers, and they're like, hey, like, come and get some candy. Like, everyone was just like having a really nice time. I think it's unfortunate you have to have that only on holidays or festivities, but that's what
you
I
just
like.
want to feel like a kid all year round.
I think yes, I do. Morning, Jen.
Jen's in here. Thanks, Jen, for tuning in. If anyone else is in here, let us know you're in here. Tuning in and watching.
Jordan says yes, it gives them an exercise to be like a kid again and not having their shields up. Yeah, no question.
Yeah. I guess I'm just used to being a kid because I was teaching grade 1 for so long.
It's true.
So do you want to get back to Sugar Hangover?
Yeah. So just like Dorothy was saying, we were going through that sugar detox that we put together just ended and went amazing. We had so much progress, so many results, so many different stories of how people are feeling after going through getting rid of that sugar. I don't think the sugar is over. Like, obviously it's not over. Last night was only a small snippet. Now we have giant pillowcases in those Halloween buckets of filled candy. Like, what are we going to do with them? And how do you reserve, like, how do you not get crazy for the next week and stuff your face full of candy? And like, it's a real challenge because it's everywhere.
I feel like this was like a pre-Halloween tip, or is a pre-Halloween tip, but I think it's worth mentioning, and I noticed this last night, I suppose, and I'm not sure where the mentality or where the thinking comes from that we have to get as much candy as possible. But I think it's really more valuable, or when you like, we went to three little streets, and we were probably out there for like 2 hours. But I think you get more value out of it when you stop and we were talking to the neighbors and talking amongst our group and our people.
Sorry, what was that word?
Amongst. That's not a word?
It is.
We're talking amongst our group.
Yeah, it just came out funny. Making words up again.
So it was more of a social thing than it was about getting as much candy as possible. And I said that to Drew earlier in the day. Why do we feel like we have to get like a big pillowcase of candy or a big bucket of candy? Why can't we just go to a few houses and enjoy it?
Well, I think that it's based, like Halloween is based around candy.
It is.
So the kids are like talking about candy, their favorite candies, or can't wait to try their candies, or can't wait to see what candies they got. So I think in most cases, Halloween is like based around like what house you're going to this year, or who's giving out what types of candy. So I think it's based like those conversations, that mindset, especially at a younger age with the kids, is like what they go to school like, what candies did you get? This is my favorite candy. It's all based around candy instead of other things like traditions or conversations or pumpkin seeds, or maybe even more so carving than what you're going to get in your candy bag.
Yeah. But we enjoyed that with our friends. We were tootling along the streets, talking to people, talking to each other, visiting, communicating, and it wasn't about let's go to as many houses as we can to get as much candy as we can. Mm-hmm. Our friend's little girl, she got a little purse kind of like candy, and like she was totally happy with that. And what's even more super cool to us is that they do the candy fairy.
Oh my gosh.
And she was so excited about the candy fairy.
This is the first I've heard about it, but I've never
experienced it.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Of course, she's 3, right?
She's 3.
So you have to start at an early age. It'd be pretty challenging to like try to get a 7-year-old who's used to like having as much candy as they want for the next week to be like, actually, you're not going to eat all that candy this year. But the Halloween fairy was so amazing.
Mm-hmm. So throughout the trick-or-treating, it was all about getting the candy for the Halloween fairy. And then when she was allowed a few, like they talked about it and decided on a number of candies that was, she's this big. So, because she's 3. So they decided, you can have candy while you're trick-or-treating and one when you get home and one the next day, I think is what they decided. So, and she was perfectly okay with that. And then when we got home with her little candy bag, her dad says, well, you better get the candy ready for the candy fairy. And she's like so excited because the candy fairy's coming that night. So you go to bed Halloween night and you leave your candy out. The candy fairy comes and collects the candy, and then she leaves you a little gift in exchange for your candy. And it was so cool. She was like putting it in this perfect little pile in front of the fireplace for the candy fairy to come.
Yeah, it was awesome. I can't say enough about it because you have these bags of candy, and then the kids just they overindulge. Like they don't have any control. It's sugar. Like the kids are addicted to it, no different than adults, probably more so. And they have all these candies and all this sugar, and to replace that with something it was fun. It was exciting. She was interested in it. I was excited. I was like, so actually we said that. Yeah, we're like, you got to tell us tomorrow what the candy fairy's gonna bring. And Jordan says that's such a great idea. It really is. And I was like, not sure like if that was really gonna work or how that worked because you hear about it but we never witnessed it. And like she got all her little candy together. She put it in a pile, and of course, like we encourage, like, oh, that's such a nice little pile. Like you encourage the little one to like have fun with it.
I'm like, oh, the candy fairy's gonna be so happy. You got all this nice candy for her.
So, and that was it. And I thought, like, it's kind of funny because I grew up with eat a bunch of candy.
Yeah, we all did.
But I thought, here's a couple pieces of candy that, like, the parents said, here's a couple, and I was like, that's not enough candy.
You were thinking that?
Yeah, because they said, they gave her, she wanted one that night, and then she wanted another one, and they're like, no, which is completely, like, 100% on board with. And then she kept, like, maybe 2 other pieces, which is fine, of course. And these are good friends of ours that would use other alternatives, like, instead of milk chocolate, dark chocolate, or cacao powder, or instead of cacao powder, like, clean, healthy lifestyle. So to have like a Reese's peanut butter cup isn't like in their lifestyle. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to give their child a Reese's peanut butter cup. Instead, they would make raw chocolate and real peanut butter and like make it themselves. So that's a little different dynamic than a lot of families. But I still think, that was my own mindset, right? Like, oh, she only gets like a couple of candies, but I was like, she doesn't need any more than that. Yeah. She's like that big, and then she's already like has that thought process of like, once I go trick-or-treating, I get a couple pieces of candy and the rest go to the fair. Yeah.
But she was excited about that, which was so cool. And it was a family thing. They all sat down together and went through the candy, and they actually found some goldfish in there. And her dad was like, oh, like these aren't, like this is goldfish crackers. This is not candy, so you can actually have that because the candy fairy is not going to want that one.
No, he wanted it.
No, she likes goldfish crackers.
Oh.
So
I thought it was for him.
Oh. You did?
I thought she said, oh, this is for, you like these, maybe we keep these. Goldfish.
Oh, well, she likes goldfish.
Oh.
Anyway, I don't know.
At any rate, so we're trick-or-treating, and one of our friend's little girl, the one that knows about the fairy, the candy fairy?
Yeah.
The candy fairy. Then there was another little girl, and the other little girl wanted to eat some candy. And then she's like, hey, let's eat some candy. And she's like, oh no, like we're saving our candy. Let me take a step back. I was like playing pretend with them. And I was like, who has candy? Who has candy? And they like pretend to put something in my hand. We didn't even go trick-or-treating it. They put something in my hand, and I like pretend to eat it. And I was like, that's so good. And she's like, you don't eat the candy. And I'm like, this is a little 3-year-old. She's like, you don't eat the candy. I was like, why? She's like, the candy's for the candy fairy. And I was like, oh, sorry. So then fast forward to trick-or-treating. There's another little girl that says, oh, let's eat some candies. And she's like, oh no, we don't eat the candies. She's like, we're saving the candies for the candy fair. So then they had this like the 2 little kids like having this open conversation about we're saving our candy. The fairy, the candy fairy brings me a gift tomorrow morning. The more candy I save, the better gift I get. So then the other little girl's like, I want a candy fairy. So she's like, I'm gonna save my candy too for the candy fairy. And I was like, it's like positive. How do you say? Not negative influence?
Positive influence.
Peer pressure.
Oh.
Positive peer pressure of saving your candy and not eating it, as opposed to, let's see how much candy we can eat at once.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
To see the little girls together.
Yeah.
Yeah, ran to her mom. Mom, can we have a candy fairy?
Like, sure, but you're not eating any of your candy. And she kind of thought about it. And was like, okay. Like, wasn't 100% sure of it, but she was like, okay, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
So then next year, maybe she has the new one.
Yeah.
Maybe she has 1 or 2 pieces of candy, and then the rest go to.
I'll be interested to see how this plays out, though, into the later years, once they realize the candy fairy is fictional.
Shh! You don't know that.
Right? It'll be interesting to see how, and that's what I think is so great, because Drew and I, we're or all of our friends, I would say, have kids now. And we get to kind of sit back and watch it all play out before we have kids, which is kind of cool. I was talking to Drew about that last night. We have so many ideas because we have so many people around us who have kids, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that candy fairy plays out as she gets older.
Yeah. We don't have too much going on here. Do you have anything else? Should we wrap up early?
Sure.
Okay.
Wrap up early. We should mention really quickly a couple of things that you can do that we have done in our detox group if you want to detox from the sugar. For example, we were just drinking our kombucha, so you can have a probiotic like a kombucha every morning to help detox your body. We do green smoothies, right? Those are super detoxing as well. So there's certain things that you can do to get your energy back, because sugar will deplete your body of energy sources. So when you put foods rich in antioxidants, greens for example, into your body, that's going to, or easy to digest foods into your body, healthy fats and complex carbs, that's going to help increase your energy. But when we put processed foods and refined sugars into our body, that depletes our energy sources. So that's kind of what we were doing in our sugar detox, was creating a healthy routine so that we can increase our energy.
Jordan said he's got to run. He's going to do some yoga.
Woo! Fun.
All right, Jordan. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Yes. Bye, Jordan. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I think those are great tips to help detox. There's a lot of things that we can do. Maybe there's people that are still sleeping off their sugar hangovers right now this morning.
Yes, I betcha.
But there's the next couple days that are coming up, and there's things that we can do to.
Exercise is a great way to detox too, to sweat it out. But it's funny because when we do have a sugar hangover or hangover from putting toxins in our bodies, usually the thing that you want to do the least is exercise, but it's actually one of the things that will help you the most to get those toxins out. Yeah.
If you guys are interested in some help with meal planning, this is Detox for Yourself. I wrote this book to help learn about toxins we put in our body, on our body. It's a great way to flush out toxins, and it'd be perfect for this time of year to help with your sugar detox. We also have Complete Truth Protein. It's great for smoothies and baking. This one here is our baking product. It's great to help improve digestion and increase energy naturally. And from there, I completely lost my train of thought.
We're going to mention the monthly membership?
Oh, yeah, sure, of course. We have
I thought that's where you were going with that.
We have a monthly membership as well. We have a couple new members coming in this month, which we're excited about. And we do meal planning, recipes, grocery shopping lists, at-home workouts. So if you're looking for some help getting going in the right direction, Christmas is going to be coming up soon. I know some people don't like to mention it just yet, but it is coming up soon, and we got those little black dresses that need to be fit into.
Ready to be fit into.
So if you need some help for these next little bit, let us know, and we can definitely
Drew, you got your black dress ready?
I do.
All right, we're heading into the weekend, so happy weekend. Have a healthy, happy weekend.
That's right. All right, guys, have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.